Here at St. Albans, the three fourth grade classrooms, we call them the C-form, are housed all together in the upstairs level of the lower school. The three rooms are not necessarily connected at all times, but are very close to each other. My classroom is the only one that actually does have a door in between it and the other classroom, so I'm the most private of the three rooms. But in general, the three of us can see or hear or know that the other two classes are around at all times.
You do have a little bit of sometimes like boys walking through the classroom to go to their class, or we can hear a little bit of the other classes, just a little bit, but it doesn't really distract. And that's one thing that's quite interesting, is that the boys learn to focus even though there are things going on around them.
I know some people might find that to be distracting. I personally have been a big fan of it ever since I started here. My first year was spent in the middle of the three classrooms, so I had the most action going on, and that was actually one of my favorite years here.
Throughout life, we have to be able to focus on the task at hand, even though there are so many things going on around us. And the boys actually become very adept at doing that.
It is a homeroom setting, whereas each group of boys is working particularly with one homeroom teacher, but there are times where the boys will interact with other homerooms and do particular activities together.
In terms of the way that we work with the fourth graders, this is their first year here at St. Albans, and so being in the same area like this, it really gives them a sense of all being one class. Even though they're in three separate classrooms, they're still all one class. We have recess together so that the boys can all play together. We go on field trips together. We have class parties together. We often have class meetings together where all of the boys will go into the largest classroom and we'll discuss whatever concerns we need to deal with. And so it really gives the boys a chance to interact with each other, to really get to see that, you know, even they're at this new school, St. Albans, but they are all together. It really emphasizes the brotherhood.
And for us, it's a very nurturing environment to really get boys started on the right foot for the next 9 years they're going to spend at St. Albans.
I guess one of the reasons that I teach in general is because I find a lot of joy in working with children. I like to spend my life very optimistically and think about the good things that are going to happen in life. And I think being around these young people, they, for the most part, are all optimists in and of themselves because they have their whole future ahead of them. And so I try to help them through any of the problems that they might have, but try to always put a positive spin on things so that each day they understand that the good things in life are there and that the world is hopefully, they leave every day thinking that the world is a good place and not a place that they need to be afraid of or be scared.
It's a great age to teach because they are still curious about a lot of things. They don't question a lot of things in terms of the authority or what they're learning, but they are still very engaged in their education and interested in learning new things.
In terms of the teaching, we the three of us get together and do a lot of collaboration in terms of deciding what things we'll teach, in terms of the order that we will teach things in. We discuss that as well. Like for our grammar program, we've talked about which subjects, which concepts we want to teach in which order. We talk about what we're working on for geography, and we collaborate a great deal. So even though all three of us have different personalities and different styles, we make sure that the boys are pretty much receiving the same type of information and the same curriculum. Even though there's certain little touches that each of us have individually, when the boys leave C-form, they should all know the same information.
In a typical literature lesson, it'll be a teacher-directed lesson where I will read aloud from the book, engage the kids by asking various questions. I have also tried to have the kids the night before create questions for a discussion topic, and the kids were required to come into class, present a question that they could then be the teacher and direct the class as to where they wanted to go with that particular discussion. Other methods we use are we'll ask kids to act out certain parts of the book, and they get together with classmates, and it's a great technique to use because you really get a good idea as to whether or not kids are really comprehending what the book says in terms of how they portray the characters.
Once children have completed a task, I also feel that it's very important to give them an opportunity to share. And so my classroom walls are full of their work. They need to be able to see that they are very much a part of this classroom, that their work is important. And so I display the student work. They have an opportunity to read each other's material, to see how other students expressed something. The work that I put on the walls is not graded, and it's because I want the students to focus on the material that each student presented rather than what the student's grade was.
The boys get thrown off very easily by change. If the schedule's wrong on the board, they pick up on it in 2 seconds, and they almost can't function until they figure out exactly where they're supposed to be. So when I make every word problem about the same thing, and every spelling sentence about the same thing, and every grammar test in general about the same thing, which at this point right now is buffalo wings, the kids know what to expect, they know what's coming, and it, in my opinion, allows them to focus more on the actual content that they're trying to learn, which would be the grammar, the math, the spelling, as opposed to what it may or may not be about.
Giving the boys a small task and then asking boys who were able to go further to push themselves to go beyond expectations makes every boy feel as though he's able to succeed and he's able to complete the task that is necessary, and then gives them all a sense of accomplishment, which is really important. We really focus on the boys having a good sense of self and feeling accomplished, and making them feel good about themselves, and at the same time really explaining to them the importance of being kind to others. And so part of making them feel good about themselves is making them feel like they can accomplish a goal.
But I think my approach to teaching children is looking for their strengths and then trying to build on their weaknesses. And too often, kids are more focused on where they're having trouble, where they're struggling, and they're not remembering that everyone has particular strengths, and they can build on that and help, strengthen up those weaknesses as well.
I will never forget when I first started here. The beginning of the school year, we began with a cathedral service where the 3 schools on the campus together go in and have a chapel service, basically, to begin the year. And I will never forget that the minister who spoke at the time talked about the boys and talked about our students, because we have the boys and the girls on the campus, but talked about seeing our students as precious, and understanding how we need to be gentle with them. And I thought that it was a wonderful way to begin the year, because throughout the year, students will challenge us, they will excite us, they will make us happy, they will disappoint us, and they will do the same to each other. And it's really important as a teacher to be able to remember through all of those ups and downs that the students are precious and that we have to be gentle with them, that they are very sensitive. And sometimes it's hard to see a child as being a sensitive person when they're doing something to another child, or when they're doing something that challenges you, or if they're having a hard time with something. But if you are able to remember that the child needs your sensitivity and compassion, it makes it easier to teach that child. We also need to understand that children have feelings just like adults do. And so often adults overlook the feelings that children have, whether it be that we don't give them an opportunity to explain something, or whether it be that we have an idea about what we want to do and we want it done our way, and then the children are not able to have the room to express themselves. Sometimes that can inhibit children. At the same time, I firmly believe that you do have to set parameters. Children shouldn't be able to just do anything. There should be some structure. I really believe that teachers have the very large task of giving children freedom within limits. And so if we set up the parameters for them and then let them know that they have choices, then that helps children to feel more confident and helps them to feel more comfortable in their activities and motivates them even more.
I really want every single kid in this class, every boy, to really enjoy school and to leave every day thinking that, wow, that was a lot of fun, I learned something, and to go home excited to come back the next day. I really want these boys to think of this place as a special place where they have a brotherhood of other students that they can come and grow up together and face some of the challenges that they will face with people who care about them, And at the end of the day, that is just a fun place for them to be at. And I hope that that is reflected in my teaching style, because I come to work every day expecting to have fun. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here. And I hope that that shows to them, and the kids, in return, they have fun, and we feed off each other in terms of that energy. So I think, every day, if my kids learn something, if they have a good time, and they want to come back the next day, I think we were successful.
The first day of school here, we lined the fourth graders up on the steps of the cathedral and taught them how to shake hands. And so the boys learn to do things like that. They learn to be polite. They learn to be gentlemen. They learn to be very respectful of each other. And it's a process. It doesn't start off immediately. And yes, there are, moments where boys will be boys. But at the same time, they do learn to be gentlemen. And by the time they graduate here, they are the type of men that we can all be proud of, that we can look back and say we had a hand in making those boys who they are today.